morning. Today I will be interviewing Miss Cynthia Harris and Mr. Nigel Brown. I will start with Miss Cynthia first. How did you get your current role here? What is your career background?
My career background is working with people with mental illness, and I've worked in several other shelters in Durham County. And I actually just saw this job online. Um, it seemed very interesting. It seemed something that I could do, and I really wasn't looking for employment at that time. I was just kind of scanning job things, and I just happened to see it, and I applied for it. And they called me in, and next thing I knew, I was here.
Do you have staff meetings? If so, what is the format for the meeting?
We normally have staff meetings every Monday at about 9 o'clock, and basically we just talk about what we did the past week. We look at our case notes, and we'll make plans for the upcoming week.
What do you expect to see from your staff and clients? If they are not meeting your expectations, how do you address them?
Um, for a client, if they're not meeting my expectations, I just bring them in, or either I go meet them and talk with them about whatever the situation is and see how we can rectify it. But I do expect them to work on their goals. I expect them to do whatever they need to do to obtain and maintain housing. Um, as far as my staff, I expect them to work on our goals of getting homeless households into permanent housing, whatever their job title may be. If it's doing housing search or doing intakes, that is what I expect of them to do it in a prompt time. Our goal is to get our clients in housing within 30 days. So there's a timeline that go to it. That's why when we bring people in for the intake, we try to carry them out immediately, because it takes time to get approved and get all the funding in place and schedule the inspections and all. So I expect everything to be done within 30 days.
How do you encourage your clients?
I let them know that they're not the only ones that have been through this. I don't look down on them. I try to be very understanding. I'm patient. I listen to what they say and let them know that they have some choices in this situation. I try to be very realistic with them and show them how to budget their money and just keep them uplifted.
How do you handle the emotional side of this job? How do you self-care?
Self-care, occasionally I'll go on a vacation, or if I come in early, I may leave a little bit earlier that Friday. I try to do fun things as far as self-care. I go to church. That helps me out a lot. If I go to church on Sunday mornings, believe it or not, that'll make my week go a whole lot better when I go to church that day. And you say, how do I handle the emotional side? I do a lot of praying about things. Before I even come to work in the morning, on my way to work, I'll pray before I come in this building. I start praying as soon as I get in my car, before I get here. And then I come in with a positive attitude. And there may be things that are hard for us, but I try to handle it without going off the deep end. Without showing a client that I'm too upset. If I'm upset, I'll do it in a professional manner, but I don't be screaming, cussing, and carrying on doing things like that. I try to carry myself professionally, and I treat people the way I want to be treated.
Thank you. Very great answers. Nigel,
Hey.
where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Good question. Next 5 years, hopefully in some position where I'm continuing to help someone. I can't say today actually if I'm gonna be president, which I could be, possibly. But somewhere in, some political field making a change to the community.
If you could change one thing about this job, what would it be?
More access to capital. We need more funding here. And if one thing I could change, bringing in private funding, private dollars, grants, anything to have more money so we can help the community that we serve.
Tell me about a family you have witnessed struggle but turned their situation around.
Let me think of a family, because we have so many success stories. One in particular, that this young lady, she had been kicked out of college. She had been evicted from her apartment, and she had a 1-year-old daughter, and she was living at one of the emergency shelters. And she really reached out for help because she had no help from family. She had no help from the baby's father, and she came into our program and she followed our lead, she followed our instruction, and she followed the instruction of families moving forward. This was maybe, I think, a year and a half ago, and today she is now back in school. She's a manager at her job. She has childcare. She's getting tremendous help from one of the circles of support. Of course, she did get a call from one of our partnering agencies, so she's doing very well.
If you could describe yourself using one word, what would it be? If your clients could describe you using one word, what would it be?
Describing me in one word. One word.
One.
Resilient in what I do, in the work that I do. If a client could describe me in one word, helpful.
Okay. Thank you for your time.